rain had just begun to clear when Adrian Cole tightened the knot on his faded tie, staring at his reflection in the cracked bathroom mirror. His 7-year-old son, Mason, sat on the couch eating dry cereal out of a chipped bowl, kicking his small feet against the leg of the table. The morning light spilled through the blinds of their small apartment, revealing how worn out everything looked. The couch with its torn seams, the kitchen counter stacked with unpaid bills, the closet missing half its door. Today was supposed to be different. Today was supposed to be the day everything changed. Adrian had landed an interview at a company he had dreamed of working at for years, a place that promised stability, good pay, and most importantly, the chance to give Mason the life he deserved. He kissed his son's forehead, promised he'd be back by afternoon, and left the apartment clutching the leather folder that held his resume like it was a lifeline. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in stories where fate tests the heart before delivering its blessing, then pause for just a moment, like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Every action helps spread these powerful stories to more hearts. Adrian hurried down the bustling streets, his shoes splashing through shallow puddles. The bus that would take him across town to the glass tower where the interview was scheduled screeched to a stop. He climbed aboard, sat near the window, and rehearsed his answers in his mind. He could almost picture it, the handshake, the questions, the nods of approval. For a moment, he allowed himself to believe that maybe his years of struggle as a single father, juggling small jobs and endless worries, were finally about to ease. But fate had a different plan that morning. As the bus approached downtown, Adrian noticed something unusual through the foggy window. An elderly woman stood at the corner of the crosswalk, her shopping bag ripped open, groceries spilling across the wet pavement. People passed by, some glancing at her but quickly averting their eyes. Adrian felt a pang in his chest. He looked at the time on his cracked phone screen. He had just enough minutes to make it to the interview if he got off at the next stop. But as the bus doors opened, his instincts made the decision for him. He ran toward her. Her name was Mrs. Gallagher, a frail widow in her late 70s, shivering as cans rolled into the gutter. Adrian knelt, gathering the scattered items, while the traffic lights changed and horns blared. She tried to stop him, apologizing for the trouble, but Adrian gently smiled and told her it was no trouble at all. He carried her groceries back to her small apartment building 3 blocks away, even climbing the stairs when he saw the building's elevator was broken. By the time he handed her the last bag, sweat beaded on his forehead, and his heart sank as he glanced at the time. He was late, hopelessly late. He sprinted back toward the city center, his lungs burning. When he finally reached the towering office building, his shirt was damp, his tie crooked, and his resume folder smudged from the rain. The receptionist looked up with polite indifference when he breathlessly asked about his interview. "I'm sorry," she said. "They've already moved on to the next candidate." Her voice was gentle but final, like a door closing in his face. Adrian stood there frozen, his heart heavy. This was the chance he had been waiting for, and it was gone. Defeated, he walked out of the building, the weight of disappointment pressing down on him. He imagined Mason's hopeful eyes when he told him about the interview, the promise that maybe their days of counting coins at the grocery store and worrying about rent would soon be over. Now, what could he say? He stopped by a small park bench on the way home, sitting with his head in his hands. For the first time in months, tears burned at the edges of his eyes. He had chosen kindness, but kindness had cost him everything he had worked for. The next few days were difficult. Adrian picked up extra shifts at the diner where he washed dishes, came home late smelling of grease, and tucked Mason into bed with a forced smile. But Mason could sense the heaviness in his father's silence, the way he sat staring at the bills late at night. Yet, amidst the struggle, Adrian never regretted helping Mrs. Gallagher. Something deep inside told him that doing the right thing, even at the worst moment, still mattered. 2 weeks later, Adrian received an unexpected phone call. The same company where he had missed his interview was requesting his presence at a second round of evaluations. Confused but desperate, he agreed. When he walked into the sleek boardroom that morning, dressed in his only suit freshly pressed, he felt the weight of dozens of eyes on him. The panel of executives sat across the long polished table, their expressions unreadable. His palms sweated as he opened his resume, preparing to explain why he had missed his first chance. But before he could speak, A tall man in a navy suit at the head of the table raised his hand. "Adrian Cole," the man said slowly, his voice commanding attention. The room fell silent. Adrian's breath caught in his chest. The man continued, "2 weeks ago, one of our senior board members was helped by a stranger when she fell struggling with her groceries. She told us the story of a young man who carried her bags 3 blocks, who treated her with respect and kindness when the world hurried past. That man was you." Adrian's eyes widened. Mrs. Gallagher. He hadn't known who she was beyond being a kind old woman in need of help. But now here she was, revealed as the mother of the very CEO sitting before him. James Gallagher, one of the most influential leaders in the city. The boardroom remained still, every executive waiting for the CEO's next words. James leaned forward, his eyes locking with Adrian's. "When my mother told me what happened, she said you didn't even hesitate. You risked your own important appointment to make sure she was safe. That tells me more about your character than any RA ever could." Adrian swallowed hard, his throat tight. He had no words, only the pounding of his heart echoing in his ears. James smiled faintly, then said the words that froze the entire room. "Gentlemen, I don't need to hear anything else. This is the kind of man we need leading our teams. Mr. Cole, welcome aboard." The room erupted with murmurs, some surprised, some approving. Adrian sat stunned, tears threatening to break free. For the first time in years, the crushing weight of failure lifted off his shoulders. His act of compassion, the very thing he thought had cost him everything, had in fact opened the door to a brighter future. When Adrian returned home that evening, Mason was waiting at the window. Adrian scooped him into his arms, whispering, "We did it, buddy. Things are going to be different now." Mason smiled, wrapping his small arms around his father's neck. That hug carried every struggle, every sacrifice, every sleepless night into a single moment of triumph. The story of Adrian Cole is not just about missing an interview or landing a dream job. It's about faith in small acts of kindness, even when they seem invisible. It's about believing that life has a way of returning goodness in the most unexpected ways. And it's about a father who never stopped trying, even when the world told him he had failed. If this story touched your heart, if it made you believe in kindness, fate, and the power of doing the right thing even when no one is watching, please like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Together we can fill the world with stories that remind us to hope. And before you go, drop a comment below. Kindness always comes back. Let's flood the comments with hope and light.